All right, have and have not fans. Now, as promised, aside from the episode review of Haunted by a Surname, I have plenty of other videos just about the different topics we got within the episode itself. And this video is again going to be one of many. So, wow, it's really hard to tell where to start. So I'm just going to throw my hand in the jar and pick out a topic. So, when it comes to Wyatt, let's talk about Wyatt. This episode is going to be about Wyatt. It was really interesting, as I said before, to learn more about his childhood in terms of what his dreams are, because we really learn more about his character, more than just playing the victim. We really get more insight to who he and his sister Amanda were. I'm pretty sure, even though they grew up as halves, they were just like regular children in terms of, they had their own dreams and aspirations, but it seemed like they were just going to be molded in what their parents wanted them to be. I believe while talking with Anna, Wyatt was saying that he wanted to be a fireman, but he was pushed and pressured, or excuse me, he was expected to either take over the family business that his grandfather was running, or to eventually be going to law like Jim. And the same thing happened to Amanda, where she had her own dreams, but then again she was pushed to be a law student, and we saw what happened to her. But to be fair, it seemed that we learned way back in season 1, episode 3 or 4, when Candace and Amanda were about to leave to go back to their campus. Well, actually Candace to her apartment, while Amanda was living on the college campus. Remember, they were just visiting briefly for Jim's birthday party, and that was when Candace went with Amanda to confront Catherine about not wanting to do law school anymore. But we learned from Catherine that Amanda's tried a lot of different things, but wasn't able to stick with them, because when things got hard, she decided to quit. I believe she just wanted to be a fashion designer, and the list goes on. There are many things she wanted to do, but when things got tough, she just turned around and run, and that caused her parents probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in tuition money for nothing. And you look at how she was as a character, and I've already talked about Amanda in several videos, but it's just sad to think that these two kids, and it's common, even if you are not a have, if you're a have not, you probably grew up in a similar situation. Maybe your family didn't have a business or a fortune for you to inherit, but they wanted what was best for you in terms of living a better life, or having a better life than they had. So I can kind of see both sides of the coin of that one. And as soon as he mentioned wanting to be a firefighter, I just instantly thought about how Benny wanted to be a tow truck driver since he was a little kid. And, unlike Wyatt, who could have instantly, afforded it, everything based off his parents, fortune, Benny saved pennies for who knows how long until he eventually bought that first tow truck we saw in, season 1. And the thing about him, instead of resenting his his parents, let's just say mom, because he didn't even know Tony was his dad until halfway through season 1. He didn't really resent his mom. He really loved her, and it was during the time where Hannah was going through her breast cancer that there were the doctor bills piling up. So in order to help out, Benny, who had moved out of his house probably not too far away, moved in back with his mom to help out with the bills and everything. And he never gave up his dream. I mean, Hannah and Candace, hey, despite their differences, they both loved them some Benny, and they really did encourage him. In this case, it seems like Wyatt didn't have the same fortune. It was more like he was just being pushed in a certain direction. But keep in mind, the whole priest, messing around with him at that Bible camp happened when he was young. I think maybe a kid or a teenager. So that's definitely affected his ability to go to some kind of school. Go back to season 2, I believe even Jim, it was after the hit and run incident, he even told Wyatt, he's like, what happened to that plan? Remember you had like a life plan written out when you were a kid, like you were going to go to law school and everything, but that went up in a pile of smoke, drug smoke, weed smoke. I think he either said that in season 2 or back during season 1, like episode 3 or 4. And there's just so much to think about, because he's lost so much time having to go to rehab all those times and work things out. So it really is good to actually see Wyatt clean for now. I hope he stays that way for now, to see him, actually talking about his life and the fact that just like Candace, he did love his sibling, in this case, Amanda. And it's just a shame that, he doesn't talk about her much. So the fact that even though she's killed off, is good to see Amanda being referenced. But when you think about it, we really never saw those two together a lot. I mean, the last time I remember seeing, and again, you could just go back to season 1. I remember the scene where trying to think here. It was back when Wyatt and Jeffrey were helping Amanda move into Candace's apartment. And then you have, that scene where Wyatt went off on Candace and Candace lied, pretending to be sad, and then it went off. And if I'm not mistaken, the last time we saw Wyatt and Amanda together was way towards the end of the episode, season 2, when the episode was like there's something wrong with Amanda, where we saw Amanda run off of Quincy to go get tattoos, and she came back. I think that was the last time we saw those two together. So that's pretty crazy to think about. Now, in terms of Wyatt, where he's going, I don't know. Him and Anna, might end up in a romantic relationship. That would be interesting, but it's not something I want to see pushed. I mean, it would be pretty good to see. Was a fan way back in season 1. What was her name? Laura. It was, as Celine put it, Laura was the best thing to happen to Wyatt, because whenever she was around, when those two were together, he was clean. He was never on drugs or anything. But of course, Jeffrey ran her away, so that really sucked. And just like what was it? Marcy or Darcy, the nice girl from church that Hannah was trying to hook up Benny with. It's just like those two girls were great. I wish Benny and Wyatt ended up with those women respectively, just because it's good to see them happy. So if Anna turns out to be that light in Wyatt's life, so be it. I think it's pretty interesting. So with that being said, this isn't too long of a video. I just wanted to kind of chime in on Wyatt, the fact that we're learning more about him, because, some might joke around. It's like, well, he wanted to be a fireman, saving people from smoke, but he ended up lighting one up himself, and he, got in trouble for it. So hopefully he's able to turn things around. And honestly, I wouldn't think that would be a bad thing to do in the epilogue of the series, like he's going, firefighter class and whatnot. And, he's able to save lives instead of ruining them. And I don't know, I've said this before, but I really want to see justice for Lil Lizzie. How that comes to be with Wyatt, I don't know. I find it interesting. Remember that he told the new DAs, like, wow, well, her dead, Jennifer dead, that goes away. There goes my immunity. So I wonder how that's going to play a factor in, Wyatt's future. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think of Wyatt, learning a little bit more about his background? And what do you think is going to happen now with his supposed immunity maybe going away?